Tonight on the Henry Rollins Show, youth culture pioneer Russell Simmons comes by to talk about his new book, Do You, and what it takes to shift American culture. Then, an exclusive musical performance from the good, the bad, and the Queen. It's going to be a great show, folks. Stay right here. What are you doing to fight the war on germs? All over America, bacteria cells are losing sleep, knowing that the rapture is just a spray and a wipe away. Germs hate your freedom, and if you don't kill them now, they will, well, I don't know what they'll do. They'll probably do what they were doing in homes since there were homes. But that doesn't make it all right. The air around you is a germ-laden, target-rich environment, and you must engage and neutralize this imminent airborne threat. You remember what the man in the Listerine ad said? They're germs. Show no mercy. Roger that. You'll deploy the germ-killing spray throughout your living quarters, thus spreading freedom and democracy where it is needed most. It is your duty as a vigilant and concerned American to buy shopping carts full of every possible germ and bacteria annihilating, scent masking, body freshening wipe, spray, and pad, and bring these bacterial fascists to justice. Sterilize yourself before it's too late. What this campaign, of course, leaves out is that many common diseases are viral in nature and are unaffected by these antibacterial crusades. Also, soap and the regular cleaning products get the job done, and most interesting to me, if you kill off all the susceptible bacteria, the more resistant bacteria become stronger. Not to mention, all of this cleanliness can do a lot to weaken your immune system, thus making it easier for you to get sicker quicker, thus becoming more dependent on other products companies will be more than happy to sell you. As a youth at summer camp, I had a dead bat as a pet until it fell apart, touched all my food, and engaged in all manner of idiotic germy pursuits, never once washing my hands, and by golly, I'm still here. Hug me. Like you, I'm a virtual petri dish of germs and bacteria. Russell Simmons is joining us tonight. In the late 70s, Russell began the arduous and ultimately very successful mission of bringing hip-hop and African-American culture to the mainstream, earning his place as one of America's brightest visionaries and cultural influencers. Beyond breaking bands like the Beastie Boys and Run DMC, he's kept more than busy with other ventures including apparel, web content, marketing, and nonprofits. He's just recently released a book containing his laws for happiness and success entitled Do You. Russell, thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's just jump right into it and talk about the book, Do You. Besides the title, which says to me, be yourself, what are you getting across in the book?
Well, the idea is that the inner voice is a very powerful thing, and there's something inside us that connects us, all of us, and I think people don't always take note that there's such great possibility, when you look inside. I mean, lots of times we're sheep. But inside of us is a voice that's much stronger, an opportunity that's great. So the book is about moving towards the core and using that core to be a greater contributor. Lots of people think they want to get a lot from the world, and I think the best way to get is be a good giver, and that's what the book's about.
Knowing some of your back history, your earlier entrepreneurial pursuits, like when you were a much younger man.
Drugs and pussy?
Drugs and pussy. What did you learn about moving those quantities on the street to moving stuff like clothes?
Well, the truth is, as you get older, you find more important things to move. The clothing thing was fun. It still is very fun. And I learned, from records, which I'm still in the record business, I learned that there's so many talented people who have not gotten a chance to express themselves. Designers, for instance, in clothing and records, there's always a new voice, a new poet that needs expression. So for me, I learned to be a good servant for hip hop over the years. That's what I've been. From the beginning, I loved hip hop, the culture, and I see so many ways that these young people can express themselves, all the way from the clothing to the jewelry company to film and television, records, of course, and all of these areas, there's so much that America's missing, so much diversity that's locked out, that could be expressed, rather, from the American culture. There's lots of ideas that are frozen out, and for me, as a servant of hip-hop, I've been able to bring them to the forefront.
Right. Let's talk about when you were breaking bands like Run DMC and the Beastie Boys. What kind of resistance did you run into?
I've never done anything that kind of fit what people expected. My first record was Christmas rap, and it was on the shelf. There were no rap records. That was Curtis Blow. That plays every Christmas. So from the Beastie Boys to Ludacris, or Jay-Z, all the signings that I've had over these years have been artists who had to break ground on their own. So I always been viewed as somebody who's creative, who found something, but they've already built a mark. The Beastie Boys were developing nicely. Run DMC were, DJ, well, my brother is easy to find because he's under me, but he was a DJ for many years, before he got his opportunity. Right. So I've been sitting there and watching things develop, and I think I had enough courage, which maybe made me a little different, to give these people a chance or to actually work for them. So that's been my forte, if anything, or if there's a legacy, is that what you said? Sure. I've been able to work for and served, these artists. So is that the question?
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, you're basically breaking race music into radio, onto MTV, a very young MTV, but MTV all the same.
Run DMC on MTV, there wasn't nobody black on MTV.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say.
Except Michael Jackson.
And so, what was that like, bringing this new music and this new look?
That's the shit I do. Def Comedy Jam, when Chris Tucker and Martin Lawrence and Jamie Foxx and Bernie Mac and all those guys came, that was a joke. I mean, not a joke like funny. That was a favor that HBO did for me to make a special. It made 100 episodes, but it was a special. It was the biggest show in the history of HBO all the way until Sopranos.
Right.
But it was about breaking something different and black on a mainstream network that wasn't ready for it.
With all the evidence that there is, how come some people, many people, still consider hip-hop and rap a black-based or a, minority-based phenomenon more than a wider youth cultural phenomenon?
Well, here's the good news. Hip-hop started out as an expression of people, for people who were voiceless. Poor people got the mic. So even when it's a white rapper, Eminem is coming out of a trailer park. So all these expressions are not mainstream. They're authentic and they're honest and they make the mainstream take notice, but they still are people who are marginalized, and now suddenly they have a big giant voice and they're yelling at you, fuck the police. And they're yelling at you, fuck the police. You say, well, why are they saying that? Because there's no dialogue between community and police. Or they're saying violent things. Guess what? 10 kids got killed in one day in Philadelphia. You don't remember that day. Very few people know. Because it wasn't a college shooting. It was just, there's kids killed each other. There's violence in that community. Philadelphia is a scary place. Detroit's scary. So here's a rapper who comes from there. It's scary, but not to us if we don't live there, And if you live there, it becomes a norm. And then somebody writes poetry about it, and the rest of the world's like, oh, shit. They're shocked. Yeah. But so this truth that's coming out of their mouths, this reflection of our dirt in some cases, or just even the dirt that's in us, that we hear from them is pretty offensive. So they would rather it not be a big piece, a chunk of America as it is. They'd rather just be some poet somewhere in the corner.
But what do they do about the fact that 70+% of these records are being bought by white kids, suburban kids, mall kids,
good for them.
Real Americans?
No, I think it's good that these people, kids in Beverly Hills, now have a understanding of the plight of the poor in Compton. And I think it's necessary. And I think it's, they're very lucky, the people who are struggling to have voices as big as they have. Not only in America, but all over the world. The rappers are the people who come from poverty. And what they're saying is, the French government doesn't like the rappers in France. You know that. The Israeli government doesn't like the Israeli rappers, the Palestinian regime, and they don't really care for what the Palestinian rappers are saying. Mostly they're talking about peace and lifting each other up and a struggle, but they're also angry. And they see the contradiction in the leaders or the people, the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
So that's what young people always do, right? But when they come from poverty, it's not rebellion for the sake of it. It's rebellion because they want in, which maybe wanting in not so good always either, but they want in. They want to see the shit. They want to own the shit they see on TV.
Yeah.
And I think that it's kind of offensive to people who want everything to stay as it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And probably the reason why they keep trying to marginalize something that shifts millions of units, it's a $1 billion industry, and they're still trying to say like, oh, it's that in the corner. Like, no, it's not. It's all around you. It's so big you can't even see that you're in it.
Yeah.
How important is personal freedom and expression in what you do and the music you've worked with over the years and all that stuff?
Critical. I want rappers to say whatever's on their mind. Very important that artists get to paint a picture or express what's in them honestly and not be controlled or censored or told. I mean, some art becomes fine art because it won't play in the mainstream. That's okay. Or not understood by, but, as much as you can say it in a way that people can digest it, it's even better. But that's not up to me to do that. Say it however you like. Sometimes you say things angry, hits them over the head, and somebody goes home and listens, and it means something. Right. Say it soft, and maybe they don't even digest it. So who knows how to say certain things in ways that people will digest them and be affected by them. Each one requires a certain talent. Right. So it's very important artists say what they want.
What must we do to preserve our rights to keep this freedom of speech and freedom of expression?
Well, you give away rights as part of the process when you're in this kind of environment we're in, I think. In other words, we put stickers on records years ago. I was there. I was at the Senate hearings and so forth. And now today I recommend we take bitch, hoe, and nigger off the radio, mainstream radio. And I said, because I think that they're in the back room trying to attach these words to hate crime bills. I think that they're trying to figure out any way they can to shut these rappers up. And I think some kind of corporate responsibility will help, aside from the fact that my kids don't need to hear bitch, hoe, and nigger unless they go to the club. Or, if they want to be bitch, hoe, and nigger, go buy the record. It's okay. But mainstream radio doesn't have to play it for a couple of reasons. But one of the reasons is really to protect them from the kind of sneaky things people can do that will censor them in the long run, even in the short run.
Yeah.
So you have to do things that sometimes people perceive as compromise. But, you deal with public outrage and you have to live in a certain environment and try to do the best you can. And nothing is perfect to protect people's freedom of speech.
2008 is a very important election coming our way. And a lot of interesting people, well, to me, the more interesting people are on the Democratic side of things. And
You too?
Huh? Well, who is there anyone that is standing out to you?
I know all of them real well. I mean, I shouldn't say, I don't know Obama real well. I know Hillary very well. I know John Edwards, I spent a lot of time with. I want to hear more. I want them to be forced to say more. Yeah. I don't blame anyone who's trying to win for playing the game as best they can. I can't tell where their hearts are because they're in poll hell and they're being given direction and they're saying, I wish that, I love hearing Dennis Kucinich talk.
Yeah, me too.
Because he's talking about the issues in a way that inspire me.
Yep.
I'd like to hear his voice louder so to see how everybody else can respond. Because since I think Dennis is going to have a tough time winning,
yeah,
his voice is critical because then maybe he could inspire some other people to address issues in a meaningful way. World poverty is something we have to address. American poverty is something we have to address. And we have to have real solutions and real commitment to change these things, And how will we do it? Will anybody, peace, promotion of peace comes from promotion of love or giving things, opportunity, education to the world. Anybody who gets elected, his ass supposed to get on the road and fucking apologize. Apologize. And say, that administration is not me. American people are different. We're more loving people than that. We're not so fucking selfish. That's what the next president has to say. I'm sorry, his name should be like an Obama Barack Obama, you know, we should maybe have some of Kucinich ideas. He goes out there and says, or even a woman, Hillary could say it. You know what? It'd be nice if Dennis could say it, but no one believe him. But I'm sorry. I want to promote a different relationship with you. And start with some dialogue with people. And tell, you know, and stop being so irresponsible, not accepting any blame for the condition of the American people in terms of their relationship with the world. So that's what I think we need, and I think it's obvious, and it should be obvious. Anybody with any sense, all these religious people, I hope some are spiritual enough to recognize that right in their own scripture, it says that we are responsible for our relationship with the world.
Here on my show, we believe in complete.
Am I going to hell fucking with you? You got all these ideas coming out of me?
No,
you're
going to be just fine.
Fucking around and ruin everything. All my corporations, partners and shit, all my charities are going to be
The stock is going to go through the roof as soon as this hits the airwaves. Here on my show, we have complete freedom of movement.
I didn't say this shit on Oprah.
Expression.
If I had the courage to say this every day or like 60 Minutes and stuff, I probably wouldn't get back on.
Well, you know what? That's the courage that all these candidates need. And
well,
so
I would
you
say,
must
no,
lead
I would
by
say
example.
it. I'm saying I wouldn't use this language, but of course I would express these same. I do.
Yeah.
You know, other day they were talking about gangster rappers, and I said they can't be as gangster as our gangster government. Everybody in the room got quiet.
I think
they
you're
edited
right.
it out. It was on Oprah. Cut it out.
I think when I heard Cedric the Entertainer say the other night on HBO, he says he said at least one thing that Bush has going for him, he thugged his way into office.
There's no question about that.
I said, man, that's so
no question. He's gangster as fuck. He is really unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, at least he's more honest than half our Democrats.
Yeah. I could go on and on about basically complimenting you as to what you've done for culture around the world, but I'll save it for another time.
You're the best motherfucker, man. I really, really enjoy being on this show. I want to be on this show more, and then I want to be on, I don't know, 16 Minutes.
Thank you, and thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Right on.
My pleasure.
Coming up later in the show, an exclusive musical performance from The Good, the Bad, and the Queen. But first, a letter from yours truly.
Dear Mr. Lay, can I call you Kenny Boy like the president used to? No matter. Some may wonder why I'm writing a letter to a dead man, but I contend that you might not be dead. With your vast amounts of ill-gotten gains, I'm sure you could have gotten more than a few key people to look the other way to facilitate your exit from Texas to parts unknown, where you may very well be laughing about it all at this very moment. No need to rehash all the details of the great harm you did to Enron employees and thousands of others. That's all in the past and on the record. What I wonder is what, if anything, America learned from the disaster of Enron. Mr. Lay, I think there are some who watched what happened and made a list of things they won't do when they try to do very much the same thing. They know that there will always be many people who will always trust corporations no matter what and risk all to make a quick buck. And thanks to you and your cohorts, they also know that the appearance of power is as good as power itself. We all know that white-collar crime isn't considered real crime because it's not violent. But it is, Mr. Lay, and you're a violent man. You're a murderer. When you manufactured fake power shortages in California, some people died. You killed them. Your wife Linda knows this, yet has no problem spending your stolen blood money to this day, and no one seems to notice or care. Mr. Lay, all of this goes to show that there's laws for the few and laws for the rest, and those are the people you screwed the hardest. Honest, hard-working Americans and their families. You ruined their lives. Do you understand? You are a terrorist on the level of Osama bin Laden. Lesson learned. All corporations should be held to high and constant scrutiny, and never, ever should they be trusted. Stay dead, motherfucker. Henry. British-born musician Damon Albarn has done the odd record now and again. He was in some band called Blur and another you may have stumbled across called Gorillaz. And right now, he is working with a yet unnamed outfit comprised of Verve guitarist Simon Tong, Nigerian drummer extraordinaire Tony Allen, and bassist Paul Simonon, formerly of The Clash. They have released a brilliant album called The Good, The Bad, and The Queen. Here to perform Nature Springs, this is Damon, Simon, Tony, Paul, and friends, live and uncut. that's our show for tonight. Thanks again to our guests, the good, the bad, and the Queen, and Russell Simmons. We'll see you next time.